Welcome to the Glitch Report, your daily marketing botcast. Brought to you by Leadpages. Here are our hosts, Kai and Luna.
All right, everybody, welcome back into some of the most interesting stuff happening out there in the marketing world.
Yeah, we got three big things we're going to cover today.
Oh, yeah.
All super interesting and probably affecting everybody listening to this show today.
Yeah, for sure.
So without further ado, I think the first thing we should talk about is social media ad costs, because, there was some news this week that was, I think, pretty interesting, particularly for anybody out there planning budgets for next year.
Yeah.
We've all seen that they've been rising, but what's the latest and greatest? What are we looking at?
So the latest is that it looks like that trend is going to continue.
Oh, great.
Which is, not great news for marketers,
yeah.
but, it's something that, we all need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And so the projections right now are saying that the main metric that we look at here, which is CPM, which is cost per mil or cost per 1,000.
And essentially what that means is how much does it cost for you to reach 1,000 people with an ad?
Okay, so if I'm just a local business, like a bakery, and I want to get the word out about our holiday cookies. If the CPM is like $10, then it's going to cost me $10 for every 1,000 people that see the ad.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And so TikTok continues to be the most expensive platform out there, and projections are showing a possible increase of 15.6% in the first quarter of 2025.
Oh, wow.
That's a big jump.
Okay, so TikTok, 15% potentially.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, Meta actually saw a little bit of a dip in CPMs earlier this year, but it looks like they're going to bounce back.
Of course they are.
With about a 5.7% rise in 2025.
Yeah.
And then you got YouTube, which seems to be holding pretty steady right now.
So YouTube is the cheapest right now, or the
most stable.
Okay.
At least for the moment.
Okay, so it sounds like, this is really important stuff for anybody out there planning a campaign. Should we be diversifying ad spend across different platforms? Or
that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Putting all your eggs in one basket, particularly a really expensive basket like TikTok right now, could be a little bit risky.
Yeah.
So you might want to explore other platforms or even look into doing more with organic content as opposed to paid.
That's great advice. Okay. Moving on, there is some interesting news from Google this week.
Yeah.
They're rolling out a new first-party data solution for analytics users.
Yes.
And this seems to be tied to the whole phasing out of third-party cookies.
Exactly.
What's going on here?
So Google is trying to help businesses adapt to a more privacy-centric world, which we all know is happening.
Right.
And so first-party data is basically information that businesses can collect directly from their customers.
Okay.
So think through their website or through an app.
Yeah.
And this is considered more ethical because users are providing that information knowingly. So it's not kind of like, oh, well, you didn't know that we were collecting all this information on you.
Right.
And so that's considered more ethical, and it gives businesses more control over their data collection and their data analysis.
Yeah.
So instead of relying on those third-party cookies that, are tracking people all over the web, Google is now encouraging businesses to kind of build that direct relationship with their customers.
Yeah.
And get that information with their consent.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I know as a user on the web, it's kind of annoying to have all of these cookies following you around. And, and a lot of people are blocking them anyways. So it's why not just go to a model where we're all kind of consenting to sharing information.
Yeah, and in theory, it's a win-win for both sides because users have more control over their data and their privacy.
Yeah.
And then businesses get more accurate and relevant data that they can use to improve their marketing.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got to talk about Threads.
Oh, yeah.
There's a big algorithm change over there, which is prioritizing content from followed accounts.
Yes.
So what does this mean for the average user scrolling through their feed?
Well, picture this. You open up Threads, and instead of seeing a bunch of recommended posts from people you don't know or brands you don't follow, you're going to be seeing posts mainly from people you follow.
Okay.
So your friends, your family, creators that you love.
Okay.
They're putting a really big emphasis on something called connected reach, which is all about fostering those relationships with people you already know.
Okay, so I'm curious, how do you see this affecting creators? Because they're trying to build a following. How are they going to get in front of new people if it's all based on connected reach and people you already follow?
That's a great question. I mean, it's definitely going to be harder
for creators to break through and reach new audiences.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more important than ever for them to really build a loyal and engaged following. Yeah. Because now Threads is becoming more like a neighborhood block party where you're mostly interacting with familiar faces rather than meeting new people from across town.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And then, of course, this whole move, I think, is partly in response to the competition from other platforms like Bluesky.
Yeah, definitely.
Which actually just hit 21 million users.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
But, Threads is not struggling either. They added 15 million new signups.
They're still a huge platform.
Just last month. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out.
Definitely. It's a dynamic landscape.
Yeah.
And it just highlights that these platforms are constantly evolving.
Yeah. Cool. So just to quickly recap for our listeners today, social media ad costs still going up.
Nice.
TikTok, the worst offender there. Google's encouraging this move towards first-party data,
right,
empowering both businesses and users. And Threads is really shaking things up by prioritizing those all-important follower connections.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. It is so much to think about. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you all with a thought. What do you think is going to be the biggest marketing challenge in 2025? That's something for you to think about over the weekend. Until next time, keep exploring. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.